Hey everyone, this is David with Keiryu Rod Co, and today I'm really excited to be talking to you about our newest rod. It's this rod right here. This is the MiniMax. It's a compact Tenkara rod. We designed it to be super compact, obviously, very light, fun to use, easy to cast, and it extends out to almost 12 feet, so it gives you that feeling of just a regular size Tenkara rod. So today, let's jump into getting a closer look at this rod, talking about the specs, then we'll look at the action, then we'll talk about the use case, what you can expect, how to use this rod. I'll provide some recommendations for lines and rigs, and then we're gonna wrap it up with tips. You know, this rod has been out there now for a few weeks. We've heard from consumers, so we'll provide some tips on using it and taking care of it. All right, let's jump into it. Okay, let's take a look at the MiniMax, and we're going to start off with the case. This is a sturdy but lightweight case for your rod. Unscrews here at the top, just like mostly every case does, and it works really well. In addition to that, of course, then we have the sock that will come with the rod. Nice sturdy sock, good protection. And then we have extra tips that do come with the MiniMax. Let's take a look at it right here. A few things I want to point out. This is a rotating Lillian. That is true for what comes with the rod and these extra tips. The other thing to note is that this is one section. You're not going to remove this tip piece from this section right here. They're designed as one. This will not make its way through. It's a little bit too big right here, which is fine. That's the way we designed it. We're dealing with really tiny tolerances with this rod, so it works out well. So anyway, you will get a free spare tip section with the MiniMax. And then here is the rod. This is the MiniMax rod. And of course it's got the protective covering on the cork handle here, but you can kind of see the size. It is only 10 inches from tip to bottom, which is fantastic. It extends out to 11.7 feet. Here you can see some of the specs that we've printed on it. The carbon that we use is Japanese carbon. It's Japanese Toray carbon. It is very light. It's very sensitive. It gives the rod just a great feel, and it keeps the weight down. So the overall weight for the MiniMax is 2.25 ounces. And that's pretty good. It's got a great balance and really easy to cast. Just kind of a flip of the wrist. The cork handle feels great. It feels more like a regular Tenkara rod. All right, so hopefully that was a good close-up of the rod. You got a sense for the specs. It's obviously highly compact, and it extends out to 11.7 feet. One of the things I love about this rod is just the handle. I feel like I'm fishing my regular Tenkara rod when I use this rod. In fact, sometimes when I go to collapse it, I collapse it from up here instead of down here because I'm thinking that it's a regular Tenkara rod, and it's not. But I just love that you can go anywhere with this rod. I recently went on a quick outing, and I just used a fanny pack, and I was just able to throw the rod in the fanny pack and spend some hours out there with a few beverages, having fun, and it was just super enjoyable. So now that we've looked at the rod up close and we've talked about the specs, we're going to talk about the action that this rod has. So the action is really going to kind of dictate the use case for this rod. And as you're going to see, I'm going to show you kind of the action up here against the wall. You'll see that this is a soft to medium action rod. It's really at the upper end of the soft action range, going into that mid action range, which I think is a perfect spot for it. The technical specs around that action are as follows. It has a CCS rating of 16 pennies, so it takes 16 pennies to bend that rod a full 1/3 of its length. if you take the CCS rating and you put it in context in terms of the overall length of the rod, you get what's called an RFI value, and the RFI value is 4.5. We like the RFI value because it allows you to compare different rods. If you like rods that have a certain RFI value, let's say a range of 4.5 to 5.5, then as you look at other rods, you can look at the RFI numbers for those rods and you can see, okay, that's probably an action that's going to work well for me. Anyway, the bottom line is this: it's not soft action, it's not medium action, it's kind of right in between in that transition zone, which I think works really well for this rod. It really was designed to cast top water flies, kibari flies, dry flies. So we wanted to make the rod and make the action work really well with lighter lines. We do recommend about 3.5 level line. I've seen some reviewers use 3.0 level line, which is great. That's going to work too. It's a very easy to cast rod, and yet there is a backbone to it. And I've picked that up from some of the other reviewers who have fished with the rod. The 16 pennies does give it a bit of a backbone, which does help bringing in the fish. What's the use case for this rod? This is a small stream rod, mountain stream rod. You're gonna take it when you go out hiking. You're gonna take it when you go out backpacking. You're gonna take it to small streams and small water. You're gonna be getting into browns and brooks in the 7 to 11 inch range. The max for this rod is, I'm not sure. We've had some consumers send us some videos with some pretty big fish, but I would say, 13, 14 inches is probably the top end. If you're going to be getting into fish bigger than that on a regular basis, then I would say it's probably not the ideal rod for you. There's a lot of other rods that can handle those bigger fish probably better. But for those smaller fish, that sweet spot of 7 to 11 inches, which you do often encounter mostly when you're out there in those hiking and backpacking environments, the MiniMax is just perfect. So what I want to do now is, and let me just say one more thing. Tippet. Use 6X tippet. It's rated for 6X tippet. That's just a great line, a great tippet to use for this rod. Hey guys, okay, I want to show this quick video that we got from a customer. He's using the MiniMax on the Provo River. Now that's a big river. It's fast, rough water. It's not necessarily the rod that I would recommend. If you called me up, I would say, well, go with the TM Provo. We designed it for kind of, these river conditions. But it shows, what the MiniMax is made of. So I thought I would put it in right here.
All right, so this is my first fish on the Keiryu Rod, the MiniMax. I'm in the Provo River right now, and I have got a good one on. I just wanted to really bring it out and see what it could do. Keiryu ceases to amaze me with the quality of their products. Let's see how big this fish is. Wow. Again, this is on the Keiryu. This is the brand new MiniMax 11.7 inch rod, and that's a good fish.
Okay, let's talk about rigs and some line options for the MiniMax. I've generally been settling in on 3 lines that I would take with me when I go out. And I'll start off with the first one, which is our 9-foot floating line. And this line is great because it's very easy to cast. It's super visible. And in windy conditions, it's going to work better than any of my other lines. And I do encounter, I don't know about you, but I do encounter a lot of wind these days when I'm out there. So this does definitely come into play. You can see here I have a Tenkara fly on it, a kibari fly, which I find works well. A lot of the tight water that I'm hitting with that MiniMax. A lot of these riffles, currents, quick runs, a lot of moving water over rocks. It just activates these kibari flies or the lantern flies, and they do work really well. So that's option number one. Option number two, and this I would say is kind of the standard line. This is a level line. I go with a 3.5 level line. I've seen reviews with guys using a 3.0 level line, which is fine. You can do that with the MiniMax. I would say use both, see what works for you. Have both of them just based on the conditions. But this is the line that I use. This is the Sunline 3.5 line that we sell, which is fantastic. I really think it's great level line. So I've got a little nymph on this one, a little kind of attractor nymph, which work really well for me. And then the third line is the Fujinu line. This is my long reach line. So this line is about the same length as the rod. It's 3.6 meters. So about 11.8 feet. So I'm going to attach anywhere from 3 to 4 feet to that. So I'm going to have a line that's going to be, you know, anywhere from around 15 feet. And for the MiniMax, that is pretty far. But I find that this line casts really well. It's a tapered line. Oh, brother, that's beautiful. So it just really shoots out there. It's also very visible. And you can see I have another Tenkara fly on here, a lantern style fly. Okay, let's talk about flies real quick. Here we have Tenkara flies. That's going to be a popular option. It works really well with the MiniMax. I've had a lot of success with these flies. Kabare flies, lantern flies. The reverse hackle, I think, gets activated in that shallow water in those riffles, and they're very productive. Then you get to dry flies. Your favorite dry fly, whatever works for you and your waters. I personally love the parachute Adams, so I would bring those in a variety of different sizes. Then we have something like the Griffith Gnat, and that's a very versatile fly. It mimics a lot of different aquatic insects, so I find that it's quite productive. In terms of subsurface stuff, midges are great, and you know, there's different colors that are kind of my go-to, reds and blacks, and perdigons. Here's one with some sparkle. I like color and I like sparkle, and so I like this one in particular. And then you get into jig nymphs. This is a pheasant tail jig nymph that I absolutely love. I love this fly a lot, and I would use it to target pools, deeper pools, 2 to 4 feet of water. I would downsize it though. I would go with a size 18, maybe a size 16. Yeah, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think. This is always evolving. Now I want to talk real quick about the lines that I have here, the tippet. So with anything that I'm doing that's top water, I'm usually going with either 6X or 7X. Here we have 6X. Here we have 7X Rio lines, which I find work really well. Monofilament, I love them. And then for nymphing, here's a 6X fluorocarbon, and here's a new line that I picked up the other day. It's from Sunline. I normally buy tippet when I'm putting these lines together, but I picked up this spool. This is 2-pound line, and it's called their FC Sniper line. And I have to say, this stuff is freaking amazing. It just disappears. It literally disappears. At least that's been my experience. And I did test this, and it is close to 2 pounds. So that's going to get you into most of the fish that you're going to be fishing with the MiniMax. So this line is definitely strong enough, and it is a great nymphing line or anything subsurface. So I would definitely take a look at this. I got this at Bass Pro, so it's out there in a lot of places. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what rigs you have used with the MiniMax or similar type rods, maybe flies that you think are really good for the use case of the rod. I want to talk now a little bit about tips. So one of the first things I want to talk about is opening and closing the rod, and also the number of sections. So when you open this rod, of course, you always want to start off with the smallest pieces and extend them out all the way till you get to the end. And when you collapse the rod, you always start at the base near the handle. And so my first tip is this. I mentioned this earlier in my video, but I have in fact made the mistake of not closing the MiniMax right here, but my arm just intuitively just went over here. And you don't want to close the section, a section before the first section. You want to make sure you get to that first section, and then you want to close it. And the tip that I have when you close the sections, especially on a compact rod like this that has really small pieces, is I use my thumb and index finger, and let me show you here under the camera. And you can see there, I just have my thumb and my index finger, and I'm just kind of nudging in the section, and I'm using my other hand to kind of press down a little bit. And I will hear that click, and I will feel it too, and that tells me that the section is in, and I can go to the next section. It's very simple to do. It becomes intuitive. It becomes, second nature. You'll develop muscle memory, and you'll close this rod really quick. I do caution when you get to the final sections of the rod, just be a little careful, because those sections are the thinnest, and you just want to nudge those sections in carefully. If you ever disassemble the rod to clean it, you don't really need to clean it unless it gets dirty, unless it's kind of been underwater. You can disassemble it, remove all the parts, all the sections, and keep in mind this, the rule for this rod, there's 20 pieces. So when you lay out and you disassemble the rod, make sure that you count full 20 pieces. This handle would be section 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5. Count out all the pieces, because I've noticed that sometimes these pieces, the tolerances are very tight, and one piece could be snugged into the other. If you want to wash it, you can wipe it down with a damp cloth, and then use a microfiber cloth to dry it off. Let's think about other tips. When you have a fish on, this is true of any rod, especially a compact rod where the sections are a little bit smaller. After you set the hook, that rod is going to go up, and what's going to happen is you're going to let that rod bend, and that's kind of really the power curve. Hopefully you can see that. It's absorbing all the energy that rod is. All the sections are working in concert, synergistically, to disperse that energy. I've seen some folks kind of not lift that rod completely, kind of do this for too long, and what happens there is you get a curve like that where you're putting pressure, too much pressure into certain joints where it should be more dispersed like that. So just a tip when you have that fish on, with any rod that you're using, keep that rod tip up, let the rod bend, absorb the energy. Snags, if you get snagged, don't yank on the rod like that. Sometimes we get upset, we get impatient. Just kind of nudge it. And if it's not coming loose, get a hold of the line and pull the line. You might lose a fly, but that's not the end of the world. Lastly, sidewalls. Any rod, any telescopic rod, the weakest point is going to be the sidewalls. These rods will bend incredibly well, but if you hit them against a rock or even a tree, I tend to bang my rods up pretty bad when I'm out there, I must say. And just be careful, just be careful setting it down, put it in the tube, make a habit of doing that. And that'll come into play over, multiple iterations of outings. It'll help prevent something bad from happening. So I think that kind of wraps it up. I hope this was an informative video. I think this video, in addition to some of the other reviews that have been out there, should give you a good sense of what this rod is all about. But give us a reach out to us, call us, DM us, let us know in the comments. We're here to answer any question you have. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your next fishing outing.